this episode of the segment, we are going to talk about
This segment
of the episode. This topic of conversation. Okay. No. So edit. Ready or cut? Okay. So this topic of the episode, we're gonna talk about chemotherapy, right?
Chemotherapy, baby, aka chemo.
Chemo
Saved your life.
I know, that's actually so true. It's so true. So tell them and me, because I want to know like your experience. How was chemotherapy the first time that you went in to have it?
Okay. So the first time is kind of like trial and error. Like everybody's different. So when people come to me and ask like for advice, I'm like, listen, this is what I did. But honestly, I've never heard anyone who had similar story as me.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So like I was low key scared because like when you go log on TikTok or Instagram, you see everybody like bashing chemo, how it's bad for you, it's gonna kill you if cancer doesn't kill you, and people crying on TikTok saying how horrible it was. So I had like a really like bad impression. Oh my God, like this is gonna be the end of me, you know? So for me, you know, you have chemo class, they call it. So before chemo, you go to chemo class, they kind of tell you what to expect, but before that, I did so much freaking research like for days leading up to it. So the things that they told you, I already knew, and I already knew some more. So when I would bring something up, they would be like, oh, okay, I mean, that's a good idea. They don't really tell you exactly what you should do because honestly, one thing that works for me might not work for the next person.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the first time I did it, I remember I came home and I was like hyper because they give you steroids, and we'll go over all that in a second. They give you steroids, so I was really hyper. Like I felt like, I don't know, I felt off, but like I didn't feel bad. I just knew something was pumping in my veins. So I remember just going home being starving, like eating everything in the house, cleaning, like me and my mom were just kind of sitting there hour
Should
by...
have videotaped yourself.
I did. There's TikToks, yeah. I was like just cleaning. And me and my mom were just waiting hour by hour, just thinking, okay, when is the side effects gonna happen? You know, so we were just like sitting there. I was like, she's like, anything yet? I'm like, nope. What about you? No. So I felt nothing when I got home. I could not sleep. I was up all night, tossing and turning. I don't know if it was like the anxiety of like thinking I know something's about to happen, because they always say day 2 after chemo is going to be the hardest.
Because of that new Lasta shot.
The new Lasta shot, yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just, I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all. I was up all night. The next day, I was still okay, and I was like eating normal. Like nothing was really wrong. And then that's it. Like I was like, that's it. 3rd or 4th day, horrible like back pain.
Really?
Yeah.
I have back pain right now.
Yeah. It was. I remember the doctor called just to check in, and I was like, you know, my heart is kind of pounding a lot, and I figured it was from the steroids because, you know, in my past I've never tried a drug, I've never had any medications, I'm very healthy, so my heart was racing. So they were like, you know what, come in and let's check you out, make sure you're not having any heart issues, because chemo does cause heart issues. Right. So I remember on the way down, I was with my brother, my back started hurting, and I was like, wow, okay, that's weird. And it turned into, holy shit, am I having a baby? Like, I've never had a baby, but people who complain about back pain, and it felt like I was having contractions on my back. Instead of like, you know, in your vagina for having a baby, it felt like contractions were in my back. So he drove me, I could barely walk. He was like near carrying me into the Miami Cancer Institute, where they have like a clinic where it's like emergency symptoms. So I went in there, they did EKG, they gave me muscle relaxers, and they were like, you know, it's just from the new Lasta shot. And the new Lasta shot usually hits you 23 hours after chemo, and that will pump up your white blood cells to start fighting off, you know, anything that might enter your body. So yeah, that was my first chemo.
I actually don't remember. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't remember chemotherapy much. I like have it so much in my past. But I do remember the first round. So I remember talking to people and them telling me the 3rd chemotherapy was going to be like it's the worst chemotherapy that you can have, because it's like cumulative, you know, effect that your body reacts to. But I feel like the first chemotherapy, I remember coming home, I was like, you know, just like drowsy and kind of just like exhausted. It felt like my body had gone through like, you know, like it felt like I had ran a marathon. And so I took a nap, I woke up, I went for a run, then hung out with my parents. And actually my sister has pictures of me because I would drink like a gallon of water a day. And I would just like sit down and just with my gallon of water and just like chug it, because people would tell me that if you're very well hydrated, you would get less chemotherapy effects. So that's what I did, and that's kind of like what I remember. I remember the second being, like I felt it a little bit more, but still after like ran, like completely like went for like a 5-mile run. It was crazy, but I think it was also because of the Decadron, the steroid, which they give you, prophylactically when you receive chemotherapy. And I would just like become very manic, and it was really funny. But yeah, that's pretty much like, that was like pretty much my experience. But it was really funny. So I actually, every single time I would go to chemo, I would tell everybody that I was going to the bar. And I was gonna get wasted and have cocktails. And every time I was in a group chat with my friends, they're like, oh, what cocktail are you on? And I'm like, I'm on vodka or tequila. And it was funny because they knew the next day I'd be super hungover.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the way that I went into chemotherapy. I was like, I'm just going to the bar, and unfortunately the bartender sucks. And they gave me shitty alcohol. And so each chemotherapy drug was a different type of drink, and that's just like kind of how I felt throughout the whole entire process. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So after my first chemo session, I was like, wow, that wasn't that bad, whatever. Second chemo session comes along, and same thing. First day, I felt nothing. This is great. I must be doing something right. And bam, second day. 24 hours immediately after, I get a high fever. And
Really?
in the cancer world, high fever or slight fever, 100.4, any kind of fever, to the ER immediately. So I remember after my second chemo, my friend came with me. We went to my house, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drive to my parents' house, who live an hour away, just to be safe in case something happens. And I was on my way to their house, and 24 hours later, immediately I started feeling something was off, and I was like, oh shit. And the Neulasta shot had hit me in the car.
That noise.
Hit me in the car. Horrible. Instantly, I was feeling off. I walked into my parents' house, I looked at them, and I was like, I don't feel good. And within 5 minutes, I had like 102.3 fever.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
But I feel like fever was very common for you.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. So what happened? So I went to the ER, and they admitted me, and they kept me there. And after speaking to the oncologist and stuff, they realized that what, the Neulasta shot is what's giving you that fever.
Which is expected.
Okay, because the Neulasta shot can give people the chills, can give people back pain and all that. But for some reason, the back pain was gone. It was just giving me a flu-like. It was like a 24-hour flu-like deal. High fever, chills, just felt like I had the flu for a day. Now, going into chemo 3, chemo 4, I thought the same thing. Okay, every time the Neulasta shot hits, bam, I'm gonna get the fever. But no, that was not the case.
No, really.
Chemo number 3, I got a fever about 18 to 19 hours after chemo, which was like 5 hours before the Neulasta shot.
Oh, wow.
So chemo number 3 is when we realized, oh my gosh, this is just my body responding to chemo. So every single time I had chemo, within 24 hours, I would get a fever.
So did you, when you were going through these symptoms and stuff, did you keep a notebook?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I kept a notebook. So every time I would get a fever, chills,
jot it down.
Jot it down. So when you bring it to your oncologist, he said to me, okay, so now we know you're getting the fever from chemo. So I want you to start taking Tylenol immediately after chemo. Start taking it so that your body is prepared. So when you get the fever, since it's gonna happen, we knew it was gonna happen. My body already had the Tylenol in it, so that I knew I had a fever. I didn't feel good, but it wasn't as bad as it wasn't. I didn't have to get hospitalized every single time.
Did they tell you anything about Claritin with the Neulasta?
I took Claritin every
I did too. That was like kind of like my prophylactic thing before getting. I would just like pop in a Claritin.
Yeah, that was good for the bone pain.
It was good, yeah.
I didn't have any bone pain after the first time. It was just the first time, yeah. But my problem was was like the flu-like symptoms. But besides that, it was like 24-hour sickness after chemo, and then I was on my merry way. You know, throughout the week, you feel a little like run down, but my doctor said that's not very common. So most people, you know, they get diarrhea, throw up, nausea, not chills, you know, the back pain. I was like complete opposite of that. I was just like a 24-hour flu, and then that was it. So I don't know. Did you ever get like flu-like, or were you more the nausea?
I would get nauseous, and like water would like after drinking it for a long time, it started getting, you know, I remember just like having this taste. It wasn't a metallic taste, it was just like I would get so disgusted with water, and I think it was because I was like drinking it so much. But I definitely did get nauseous. I didn't have any diarrhea. I didn't have any, I think I vomited like once or twice out of the 6 rounds that I went through. And I didn't really get flu-like symptoms. I did get a lot of body aches with the Neulasta, but it was kind of like the routine for me was the week of chemotherapy was awful for me, and then I would bounce back for 2 weeks, and then it was like boom, I would go back to the bar, and then I would await, and then it was like, you know, I went a whole week of just like feeling, you know, just like not myself, and then I would just like bounce back. So that was kind of like what happened to me.
What about constipation? Did you ever get constipated from the
I don't remember.
Zofran?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Did you?
I did, yeah. So I was mixing like Miralax and
I have like chronic constipation, so I don't know if like maybe that one had to do with the other.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know. Like to me, to me, Ron unedited. No, I'm being serious. I don't remember having it, but I mean maybe.
Yeah, I mixed like Metamucil and Miralax. Because
both?
I did,
oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. My dad dad told me to take Metamucil, like I heard whatever. So I was like, I'm not trying to get constipated. My girlfriend, I'm not gonna say her name, she told me that when she was going through chemo, she would bite into a towel every time she went to the bathroom because it was so bad. So I was like, I don't want to bite into a towel. So,
no, yeah.
So I did the Zofran is what makes it's like anti-nausea because you know, nausea is a big chemo side effect. I was taking that like clockwork, like the medications that the doctors gave me.
Oh, I did too.
If they said every 8 hours, like
clockwork,
every 8 hours. So I think that also played a big role in me not having like the other side effects. But I also did like tons of research prior to chemo. I made up my own, I guess, like, I don't know, remedy for chemo, and I think it worked for myself, and I'll give you guys that right now. And now, like, moving forward, when people come to me, I tell them this is what I did, and so far, I mean, every person has.
Like so many women have like thanked you for
like,
your remedy.
They did.
I mean, I wish I had you when I was going through chemotherapy. But talk to them. Tell them what you did that worked for you.
The number one thing everyone's gonna tell you is hydration. Hydration, hydration, hydration. So I bought like a 64-ounce water bottle, and I knew that I had to drink the entire thing plus more if I didn't want to get all the side effects of chemo. I would put fruit in it or some lemons, you know. I did get the metallic taste.
You did?
I did for a couple of days each chemo, but my problem was that meat was grossing me out. I opened the refrigerator and I'd be like, ugh. All I wanted was pizza and carbs. Pizza, waffles, and pancakes.
Oh my goodness.
I know I'm an Italian New Yorker, but like I was craving pizza. I made a post on Instagram, best pizza in Miami, and people were like shooting me. I was buying pies and pies and pies, but honestly, I don't really love the pizza here. So my cousin in New York, he got 2 pies of pizza. He vacuum packed it and mailed it to me in UPS.
Amazing. Shout out to your cousin. But wait, I want to know, what is the best pizza in Miami?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay, me neither.
Yeah, I have not figured it out yet because I need to try more. Now that like we're on like cancer diets, I'm trying to stay away from like cheese and stuff.
Right.
But I haven't figured that out yet. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know.
Best pizzas in Miami.
For cheat
Give
day,
it to us.
But I remember opening the fridge and always being like, ugh. So I was just like ordering pancakes, like waffles, like all that crap, and pizza, obviously. My other remedy, I found it in some weird article, like deep into someone's like college essay. I don't even know where I got it from. No one's ever heard of it. Not even the doctor was like, what the hell? I heard that red meat helps like increase your iron, which fights chemo side effects.
It has to be like grass-fed, right? Is that what?
Well, so for us, you know, we have to eat organic. So I would eat organic, grass-fed red meat prior to chemo. So I would make like meatballs or like, you know, meatloaf or something days prior. And even like I would eat it the night before. My first chemo had meatballs for breakfast because I was like, I swear this is going to work.
Meatballs for breakfast.
Yes, I know. So Italian. But like, I just was like, whatever. So I did that. I would wear anti-nausea bands on my wrists. I don't know if it worked because I've always had them on 24/7 and I never was nauseous, so I think it worked, or I don't know.
Right.
I refuse to take them off.
I feel like they help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I naturally get nauseous, like being on boats and in the car. So I was like, shit, this is gonna be my hardest symptom. So I made sure I had those on. What else? I'm trying to think. Oh, super healthy. So the days leading up to chemo, I would take like every freaking vegetable, every green, kale, spinach, avocados. I would make it into smoothies and just like hold my nose and just drink it. Because I was like, come on, I gotta do something to make sure that these side effects don't happen. Okay, so I don't really like sugar or like anything like that, but those hydration multipliers.
Oh yeah, they're great.
You can put them in. There's a lot of freaking sugar in them, so you gotta be careful too.
Yeah.
But just so much hydration. So much hydration. So that's what worked for me while I was, you know, home. What about you?
Wait, hold on. Now that you're saying this, I actually, like, a light bulb just like turned on. So I had a really bad acid reflux.
Really?
And I remember that the only thing that helped me was kombucha.
Really?
Like the Trilogy kombucha. I would buy, like the big, like 1 gallon of the kombuchas, and that's what helped me. And that was like the only thing. I had a really bad acid reflux, and it was just like right here.
Okay.
And I wouldn't eat. Like I wouldn't even eat, and I would just have like acid reflux. And that I remember, now that I'm thinking about it, now I remember I would drink a lot of kombucha, like kombucha water.
Did you gain weight or lose weight on chemo?
No, I lost weight.
You lost weight?
Yeah, what about you?
I actually gained weight.
You did?
Yeah, because I was just trying to eat carbs. I also, another thing, like I naturally only drink water, but I noticed like when I would get a little bit nauseous, I would drink ginger ale.
Okay. Oh, ginger ale helps me.
Yeah, so there was like
zero.
One day, I don't know what happened, I got really nauseous like during my like flu fever, and I had like ginger candy, ginger gum, and ginger ale. And I remember dying on the couch with that. My friends, like, shout out to my friends, especially my friend Michael. He came over and he put an alarm for every 4 hours to make sure I was taking my medication, because I literally was like laying on the couch, like we were watching so awkward. We were watching a movie, and the mom was dying of cancer. Ironically,
oh, no.
She was dying of breast cancer. I know, so awkward. Dying of breast cancer, and like everyone's like so quiet, like guys, it's okay, like I'm not dying. But I remember the mom decided, she told her kids she was not doing chemo anymore because she just wanted to die peacefully.
Oh.
And I remember the people I was with was like, oh, that's so selfish of her. Like, and I remember thinking the way I felt during the chemo, I was like, I get her. Like, I get her. Like, even though I only was sick like 1 to 2 days per chemo, like the way you feel, it's like, I don't know if I can do years and years of chemo. Like, I don't know.
Oh,
so
knock on wood. Hopefully not.
Where is it?
But yeah, so crazy. Yeah. Oh my God, so many crazy memories.
I know. So that's the stuff that we do like before chemo, after chemo. Just healthy diet.
I feel like health is very important. I think exercising is very important too, which I need to get back to exercising.
Walk as much as you can.
Walking is like, walking is great. I think it's, oh my God, now that I'm thinking about it, AZZ just kicked in. You're going to be having this for your walk this weekend.
Yes!
You can try your steps.
I just got my first iWatch.
But yeah, exercise is really important. And I think another thing that is very important too is always, you know, keeping a little, I would call it like my chemo shit book, and just like jotting down all your symptoms to make sure that, you know, you can overcome each symptom. And that's the best way of doing it. Like what worked for you and what didn't work for you that round. Yep. I think that's like super important.
Yeah, I literally made myself a chemo kit I also got one from the 305 Pink Pack.
Woo!
Rosemary.
Let's go.
And
we love the 305 Pink Pack.
We love 305 Pink Pack.
Yes. Please reach out to her. Follow her on Instagram.
Yes.
She's great. She's a beautiful human,
Amazing.
and she helps so many women in the community. So
100%. If it wasn't for them, I mean, I'd be lost.
Yeah, no, I agree. She's been a great mentor. They just they help you with everything. It's great. It's awesome.
So I made my own chemo kit. So I figured out all the remedies that before chemo.
Okay.
I found out every side effect that could possibly happen, and I bought a medication for it. So for diarrhea, bought diarrhea medication.
Right.
Constipation medication. Fever, Tylenol. I bought a thermometer, made sure I had a thermometer. You know, I made myself a little kit. Honestly, didn't use half of it, and I ended up donating it to Monica. Donated to Monica.
Yeah,
we love you. Donated to her when she was going through chemo. Her and I met up, and I had a whole bag full of stuff for her, and donated all my stuff. I didn't. So, like I said, I didn't use half of it. So, but it's better to go in to be more prepared than underprepared.
Yeah.
So if you get like a headache, you have the medication there. You don't want to have to Uber it or someone go pick it up. Have it all there for you, and then donate it to the next person.
Yeah. Spread the love.
We talked about before chemo and after chemo. What about during chemo? I have a lot of tips for that.
You can talk about it because my head was frozen the whole entire time during chemo. I did the
Tell
cold
them why.
cap. So I did the cold cap, and during chemo, I was just like, I was a devil. I was so miserable. I was so upset, and I was just frozen. So I think I lost brain cells from how frozen my head was. So during chemo was like pretty cold for me.
So Steph decided to do cold
I did
capping.
hands and feet too for neuropathy. So
Cold,
I was just like cold from every part of my body.
Cold capping is where some people save their hair during chemo. How many percentage?
The follicles of your hair. It just depends on the medication that you're on. So my regimen there was like an 84% chance of my hair being, I had some bald spots and stuff, but there's nothing. I feel like for us women, it's so easy to just like make ourselves look glamorous, you know? And that's basically like what I did. So I had a couple of bald spots, but it worked. I mean, my hair was pretty much solid for the whole time being. Again, I lost a lot of hair. Your hair thins out a lot, but I recommend it to people. You have to mentally go through the process of you have to think about it. You're gonna be cold. Your hands, your feet, and your head are just frozen. People would talk to me and I was like, nope. I don't want to talk to you. Nope. I'm like, nope, can't talk right now. But yeah, it worked.
So there's some studies that show that chemo can't get to areas that are frozen. So in order to prevent neuropathy, which is kind of like the permanent pins and needles in your fingers and your toes, some chemos will cause permanent neuropathy. So if you put them on ice, there's a chance that you won't get it. Sometimes it doesn't work, but we took the chance. We were like, look, we want to try.
And also, just to clarify, the whole cold cap, there is a lot of like research and stuff like that. It does, like, the chemotherapy does go to your brain, and it does, you know what I mean? It does circulate around. It's just the follicles of your hair that gets frozen. But for your hands and feet, it's really important to freeze them so that all these medications, one of the side effects are neuropathy. So it's always recommended to, freeze your hands. I used to always say, like, I'm freezing my hands and my feet and my head.
Oh my God. Honestly, that was the worst part. Like, I dreaded the freeze. Like, I know I'm cringing thinking about it.
I know.
It was so freaking cold. Like, and I know people gave me like these coloring books, all these workbooks to do. And I had my hands on ice the whole entire time. Mm-hmm. Every couple of minutes, I would take it out to like warm it up a little bit, put it back in. But I did not get any neuropathy in my hands,
I didn't
my
either.
feet. I kept ice in my mouth the entire time.
Yeah, so I remember you telling me that, and I had no idea. I was like, wow, what a great idea.
Yeah.
I didn't have any cold sores or any of that, but that's like a brilliant idea.
Yeah, a lot of
people. True ice, guys.
Yeah, a lot of people get mouth sores, cold sores, canker sores.
Canker sores.
I've heard horror stories from people that are close to me that they didn't know. Yeah, all that. So that's the worst feeling in the world, getting a canker sore. So I would keep ice in my mouth. Even if they told me one of my chemos might not necessarily cause, the neuropathy or this mouth sores, I still did it anyway because I didn't want to be that 0.0001% person that got it.
Right.
So I went hardcore. That's why, like, every treatment I've done, chemo, mastectomy, all that, I just went hardcore. Get this shit out of me.
Yeah, get it
and
out.
that's it.
Yep.
Like, and let's move on with our lives.
I agree.
So definitely I kept ice. In your hospital, typically they have like an ice machine. If they don't, you could bring a cooler full of it. When I was in there as well, hydrating too. Even if your partner has to,
I feel like it's so important. Yeah.
Chug your water.
I need to chug water right now. I haven't drink water, but yeah.
Bad girl.
I know, I need to. That's my water bottle at work.
Oh gosh. I'm getting dry mouth. And then what else during chemo did I do? I mean, it's not that you probably had a longer session because you had the cold capping.
Yeah.
You did an extra 3 or 4 hours.
I did an extra 3 hours. Yeah.
My chemo typically was like 2 to 4 hours depending on how long I was waiting in the waiting room. I know that I would put candy or Jolly Rancher or something in my mouth when they were cleaning out the PICC line on your chemo port because it would taste funny.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would
Tastes
pop
like salt.
I would pop in a little Jolly Rancher. And then, immediately when I would leave the hospital, I would go home and rinse my mouth with Biotine.
Oh, yeah.
Biotine rinse.
Yes.
They have Biotine lozenges. It's just to keep your mouth moist because your mouth gets really dry and that's what causes the sores.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I would do like 4 or 5 times a day. I would also brush my teeth with Biotine, just anything.
Right. No,
whatever
works. Yeah. Yeah. I remember having a bunch of Biotine too. And I ended up, giving it to another breastie because I just had like so much. Everybody was just like giving me Biotine.
Biotine for you.
Here you go. This is for you. And it was like taking shots. I mean, it was
oh
like,
my God.
it was like, you take this. Yeah. This is for you. This is for you. It was funny. So I had a bunch of Biotine and so yeah. Crazy times.
Good times. I did not do cold capping. I did cancer, like I said. Cold turkey, raw dog. Is that the right thing? I don't think I said it wrong.
I don't know.
I shaved my head after the first chemo. Immediately, there was no hair loss. So I was told after the second chemo, you would immediately start losing your hair. So I shaved my head about 10 days after the first chemo session. And by the time I got to my second one, that hair was falling out quick. Like my bed was covered in, it looked like little pubes, like everywhere.
How is the feeling of that whole process?
It's so fucked up because during my shaving of the head, I laughed my ass off.
Did you really?
My hairdresser, Chrissy, I love you. She was crying.
We love you, Chrissy.
We were playing like cancer music, like this is my fight, so like all that, and like I'm laughing. I gave myself a mohawk first, took some pictures, and like she's just like this is so sad. Me, I'm like, oh my god, I look so funny, like.
So funny.
It is like, I try to make the best of it, but it was sad going home, watching the videos I made and being home alone in my bed and watching the videos. I did cry. I was like, wow, this is real.
Right.
Like, I feel like you can go through chemo, and if you go through chemo where you don't lose your hair or your eyelashes, your eyebrows, you look normal. Maybe it's a little bit better, but when you know you're about to lose everything, I mean, I live in Brickell. The girls are gorgeous. The guys are gorgeous. Everyone's gorgeous. They got beautiful hair, big lashes, big eyebrows. So I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, who is this ugly ass bitch? But
yeah, right. You took this situation and like made it a freaking glamorous.
I did, not
fabulous. You did.
So I got a couple wigs. My hairdresser Tammy, love you girl. She actually made me a human hair wig that looked exactly like my hair.
I mean,
even nicer.
It's so incredible nowadays what you can do.
It's so crazy. It was so gorgeous. I still have it. It's so gorgeous, long, and so no one even knew. Like I would go out, I'd be at the club. I still went to the club during chemo.
Good for you.
I know I didn't tell my doctors that, but don't be mad at me. I was out on yachts, I did my thing. I was like, you know what? The chemo is not stopping me. I did my, like, after chemo, I would wait, like, a good, like, 5, 4, 6 days.
And then, right.
And then,
obviously.
like, you
So
know.
don't, like, vomit in front of everybody. Like, you know, that's
Well,
having a good time.
Well, my thing was, like, I was feeling so good after, like, day 3. I wanted to get out, but I know that if I caught a bug,
yeah.
our immune systems are so low, even though you might feel good.
And it takes you so long to get better.
And COVID was still a thing during chemo, so yeah, I kind of we did the bounce back from cancer, the basketball game.
Oh yeah.
That was like 3 days after chemo.
Yeah.
Dr. Star was like running around with like a chair
Oh,
and water bottle. Yeah, that's the day we met. I was like, I had
This
chemo.
was like before, yeah.
No,
you
chemo
literally
like the day or two before.
So I remember Dr. Mautner introducing us to each other, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Stephanie." You're like, "Hi, I'm Crystal," and I was like. And then you're like, "Oh, you had breast cancer," and I was like, "Yeah." And you did too. You were like, "I just finished chemotherapy,
Yeah,
like
like
my
the other
last
day,
chemotherapy the other day." And I was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Wow, girl." I'm like, "We gotta celebrate. This is like, it was crazy." I was like, "Oh my goodness, it was wild."
I was like,
You're like, "I just had my flu-like symptoms." Remember?
I did, yeah. I did. The fever had just gone down, and I was like, I am not gonna miss the opportunity to walk out with the Miami Heat. Like Miami Heat, no fucking way.
No, you can't.
So I remember walking out with one of the players, and I'm like, holy shit. Stars behind me with a water bottle. She'd put.
I remember
There's a chair like sit down before I went out. I went out there, and I'm like, woo, 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 and then we get behind and back of the stage again, and I'm like, oh shit, what did just happen? But.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
And now we're besties.
Now we're besties.
Matching watches.
Matching watches.
So.
But yeah, I guess ask us any questions that you want.
Yeah.
We'll be more than happy to answer them in the comments below. And if you guys want to share also, you know, what worked for you and tips and tricks so that we can also, you know, empower other women and also help them go through what, you know, we've all went through. And if you're currently going through it, we hope that you know, take our advice on like what worked for us, and we'll be more than happy to help you as well.
Yeah, message us. You know, we're not doctors. So
no, we're not. Yeah.
Take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, we're just trying to like explain and like share what worked for us.
Yeah.
In hopes that it would like work for you girls too.
Yep. And you know, our diagnoses are similar. You know, we had similar chemos.
Mm-hmm.
Steph, her breast cancer, she has metastatic breast cancer. I have just hormone breast cancer. So we had a couple of differences, but if you guys, you know, want to message me personally about just, you know, hormone cancer, is that what it's called? Hormone cancer? Hormonal breast cancer. If anybody's dealing with metastatic breast cancer, you know, hit her up.
Sorry, my dog, my emotional support needs to be. Open the door!
All right, guys.
Love you guys.
Love you, bye.
Bye.